Hello, and welcome to Money with Mac and G. We're going to be talking about the week ended February 19th, 2021. We're going to talk a bit about Bitcoin.
Yay!
And McAdoo, what's the word for the day for you, hun?
Really nothing.
Really nothing?
Except for I had a lot of French bread today, and it was really good.
Well, that's a good thing to do. How about you, Mac? Or are you, Grant? I'm looking right at you.
I'm offended.
You should be offended.
Really, just a normal week.
Normal week? I'm thinking one day I'm going to ask you, and you're going to say, yeah, an elephant ran through the schoolyard and blew his horn at me, his big trunk, and it's going to be really interesting. But we are here today to talk about what, McAdoo?
Bitcoin.
Or the more general comment, which is cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So welcome. We're going to talk about February 19th, 2021. And what did the markets do this week? Anybody?
It went mostly down, which is kind of sad, but that's okay.
Except for Bitcoin.
Yeah, except for Bitcoin. Bitcoin went up by, what are you thinking?
10%.
About 10%. We even had a bad week for the day trading, too. We went down 10%.
Got 'em.
The crazy part is as of Friday at 5 p.m., Bitcoin is up 79.5 and our day trading is up 79.8. So
yeah, let's go.
The only problem is Bitcoin went up even more. So it's really interesting. Bitcoin is in the news quite a bit, and we wanted to dig in, right, guys?
Yes.
And we wanted to understand it just a little bit more. Now, Grant, when we start to talk about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, when did Bitcoin actually start?
Bitcoin started on 2008.
In 2008, and they started to trade it in which year?
2009.
Yeah, 2009. And was it a government that started Bitcoin, or who did that?
His name was Satoshi Nakamoto.
Natashi Sakamoto.
Nakamoto. Okay.
There you go. And is that an actual person, do you think? Because I remember reading on Wikipedia.
Yeah, we don't know. It's a person or a group.
Or a group of people.
Nobody knows.
Because it's kind of hard to think that he created all this crazy stuff and he was the only guy.
Yeah.
And what was the technology? Remember, we talked a lot about the technology earlier. It's having blocks of information, and those blocks are connected on a long what?
Chain.
On a long chain. So it's called blockchain technology. Is that right, Mac?
Yes.
Yes. And the interesting part about creating, by the way, what is a cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrency is like digital currency, basically.
Digital currency. And what does the crypto refer to? Remember that long name we talked about, which had to do with deciphering information? It was called cryptography. Do you remember that?
Yes.
You guys aren't really awake today, huh?
I know.
Wow, we did talk about it, and it's called cryptography. And cryptography is just a high-level way in order to disguise or keep stuff secret. So if I'm sending you money, Mac, and you're getting it, I want to put it out there on the internet, but I don't want anybody to be able to read it. And so cryptography actually goes ahead and makes it secret. And that unless you have the code to decipher it, you can't actually see it, right? So that's pretty cool. So 2008, and 2009 is when everything started. And what is blockchain? What's all that information in the chain all about? Can you guys tell me just a little bit what's in there?
So basically there are links in the chain, and each link is like a piece of information.
Exactly. So what kind of information when we're talking about money, and particularly about Bitcoin? What kind of information?
Like the security?
Well, the information is when I'm sending a Bitcoin to you and you're sending it back or you're receiving it. Mm-hmm. It's all that information, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So each one of those blocks is information and they're connected together. And McKenna, what happens if you try to break one of those chain links?
Basically, so like let's say a hacker is trying to hack in and steal some Bitcoin from that way. There are like hundreds of computer servers that are constantly checking if there's anything different or wrong with the chains. And if they spot something wrong, they'll automatically immediately fix it.
Correct. So it's hard to hack it because you actually have to hack thousands and thousands of these copies on these different servers. And is that easy to do, G?
No.
So are you telling me that like cryptocurrency is more secure than like banking
Yes,
stuff?
it is like the most impossible mission ever.
That's right. That's right. So cryptocurrency is safe. But the crazy part, McKenna, can you explain why does Bitcoin have value now?
So basically, if you want any currency to have value, people have to believe it has value first.
Wow. So like the US dollar, what happened with the US dollar? Did we just create that out of thin air?
Yep.
Well, we did, right? But at first it was backed by what? Do you remember when we talked about the you could actually change in your money for what?
For like other stuff like gold, food.
Gold. It was backed by gold. Remember?
Yeah.
We talked about it. There was actually at Fort Knox all this gold. And if you wanted to turn in your money, they would have to actually give you a piece of gold.
Oh.
So it was backed by something. But is Bitcoin backed by anything? Can you exchange it for anything?
You can
A few
exchange it,
things.
but
Yeah, not that many yet.
Well, there is nothing that backs it right now.
Yeah.
So it's not like gold. The only thing that makes it worthwhile is people believe
That it's worth something.
worth something.
that it's
Yeah.
worth something. Yeah. So Bitcoin, how much is it worth now? Do you know when we are looking at all of our numbers for the different markets, how much is Bitcoin worth now?
$52,000.
Yeah, and I just checked it a few minutes ago. So over the weekend, it's jumping up to 56 or 57,000.
Holy cow.
So how many
Jeez.
coins are out there? Can you tell me anything about that?
There are about 21 million coins out there, and they said that they are not going to make any more.
Right. They
So
can't-
that means the price will go up.
if
Or if more people are going to want it, the
Yeah.
demand goes up.
the demand goes up and the supply stays the same.
Then,
And
yeah.
then people are going to, the price is going to go like, wee.
Exactly. But what's happening to the supply? Is the supply staying the same or is it actually getting smaller?
It's actually getting
getting
smaller
smaller.
because people are losing these bitcoins.
You're kidding me.
They're forgetting their password,
We need to talk about
which
that.
is
just a
actually
little bit.
really sad, but
But what percent do they think that were actually lost of all these Bitcoins?
20%.
Yep.
Wow. So how much is that out of 21 million?
4 million.
4 million Bitcoin have been lost, huh?
Which is like trillions of dollars.
That's right. Is that just like really strange to think about?
That is really
Yeah.
sad.
And as more people, there was a guy. Who's the guy out in California we were thinking of? What was his name? Do you remember his name? Stephen Thomas. Stephen Thomas.
Yeah, Stephen Thomas. He lost 7,002 bitcoins because he forgot his password.
Oh,
It's
gee.
$350 million
That
today.
is so disappointing.
It is, and he's not the only one, right?
Yeah.
Because where do you actually store Bitcoin? Like, if you're storing your dollar bills, where would you store those?
In like a safe or the bank or something.
Or in your wallet, right?
Or in the wallet, yeah.
And where do you store Where do you store cryptocurrency? Come on, it's an e-wallet.
Oh yeah.
You don't
it's
need to
an
think
online
about it.
wallet. Yeah. It's just like it's like a small safe.
It's like a small safe
Online,
online.
yeah.
Yeah. Because you can you actually touch a Bitcoin? Can you get one sent to you in
No,
mail?
unless
I mean,
you're
unless you,
counting
like-
like touching a computer screen.
Unless you bought one of those eBay ones.
Unless you bought an eBay one, which is like a picture of it or
Yeah.
something. It's the B.
Yeah, it would just be like
And
a
then it
little
has
B with 2 lines.
Two little things on the top and the bottom, like a dollar sign, but all the way through. Isn't that crazy? So governments create currencies, right? And this guy, what was his name again? Satoshi Nakamoto. He created it out, or his group created it out of thin air. People started to think it was what, McKenna? Valuable.
Valuable, yeah.
And how do we know it's valuable?
Because
If you can exchange it for like food or like a Tesla E.
If you can just exchange it.
Oh, 3. Did I say E? What?
That's all right. He's the old. They tried to do E.
They
but
tried to do E, but it got
Ford,
copyrighted.
Yeah, Ford already had it. That's absolutely right. So if it's worth something, that means people are willing to exchange something of value for that Bitcoin. Do you guys remember we talked about the first transaction that ever happened with which pizza place?
Oh my gosh,
Papa.
I forgot.
Papa John.
Papa John's. Yeah, 10,000 Bitcoin, and we threw that out there. It's like $550 million. And why are people losing these things? Because they can't remember their password, and they bought it, 12 years ago maybe, for cents Each Bitcoin was worth a
Yeah.
couple cents.
And they were like, I don't need to remember this password. It's fine. Whatever.
Now it's like,
Yeah,
oh my
no.
gosh. So are people like, first of all, they're not happy they're losing their Bitcoin, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think it does a number on their mind?
Yeah. You
yeah.
just lose like your whole life savings, and yeah, you're happy. You're perfectly fine. Totally. Yeah, sure.
And so you lose these things. Do you think you go a little crazy?
Yeah. You're probably like up all night and
Up all night, maybe not even eating because you have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and you can't access it.
Mhm.
And so it's in your e-wallet. And if we had heard, can you steal like Bitcoin? Wasn't there somebody in North Korea that stole it from a marketplace where they were trading Bitcoin? Do you guys hear about this?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they stole a whole bunch of it. And so you want to keep it really safe. So sometimes you do a hardware wallet. Do you remember how we talked about a hardware wallet?
Yeah, you can put it on a hardware,
disk drive?
Yeah, and you can.
And then you can
into
put it
your
in like a safe
computer.
or something.
Yeah, you can put it in a safe. But I think from what I'd read, you only have 10 chances with the password to open it up.
Mhm.
And if you forget your password,
And then,
You're in
oopsies,
deep
all my
doo-doo.
money's gone.
so the guy
We're broke.
the guy in California, well, he didn't even think of that it was worth anything. He had all this other money.
Which is so sad.
He bought it like years ago, like a decade ago, and who knows how much he paid for it. Maybe he paid $500 for it. And now he can't get it. And he only has when I read about him, he only had 2 more chances at his password. And then it shuts down. Isn't that crazy? No.
Yeah.
That is literally so sad.
Now, what makes it really, really cool and makes banks go, this may not be a good thing for us? Do you remember? It's
Yes.
It's super safe and it's peer to peer.
peer-to-peer. So what does that mean?
So when you're in the bank and you're trying to give money to somebody else, they charge you because they say it's so safe.
Yep.
And yeah, they'll deliver it. But when it's peer-to-peer, it's just directly right to them, and you don't have to go to like 15 other websites to like
Or
get
countries.
it through. Or countries.
You don't have to go to a different website. Do you have to go through a bank when you're going
Nope.
peer-to-peer?
No, just right to them.
Right to them. So do the banks like that? Do they get to collect their fees anymore?
No.
No. But is it secure?
Yes.
Yes.
Because it has cryptography, which
Which is
makes it
Computer
hard.
language. Nobody can translate it unless you have the software.
Unless you have the decryptor, right? Unless you have the special thing to understand what's going on. So banks don't necessarily like this because I can send it to my friends in Yugoslavia and I never have to go through a bank here, never have to go through a bank there, and it just goes directly to them. Is it considered anonymous?
Yes.
Why?
Because of the cryptology.
The cryptography. You got it. You're getting it. That's so right. Because nobody can break that. And we have all those people. Who are the people that make sure that it doesn't get broke? And if something gets broke, it gets fixed?
The miners.
The miners. And what's a
yeah.
miner, G?
They dig for money around the internet, and so there'll be a few people. There'll be
A few. There's a lot of them doing
Yeah,
this. Did you
okay.
know that?
or well, no, like
Thousands.
at one, like just for one Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
Or
well, you get paid in Bitcoin, and they consider it mining because if you actually look at the information and say the information is correct,
yeah.
then if you do that and you actually figure out a puzzle, which is really
yeah.
strange, then do they give you some Bitcoin?
Yeah, they give you a Bitcoin for free.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's a partial Bitcoin or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
But what happens when they run out of the 21 million Bitcoin? Can they create any more?
No, or well, they don't
no,
want to.
they're not
Yeah.
creating any more. So
Unless they change their mind. But
I guess if they change their mind, but from the way I
Doubtful.
understand it, it is set up one time and it's one and done. 21 million Bitcoin are out there. About 4 million are lost. The blockchain technology makes sure that nobody can break it. And overall, it's very, very safe peer-to-peer. Do you know any other cryptocurrencies?
There were a few others.
Oh, there's lots of others, but we just named a couple.
Yeah, we
Can you
just
name a couple?
Litecoin.
Litecoin. How about you, Mac?
Ethereum or
Ethereum.
Ethereum. There we go.
Ethereum.
Ethereum.
Yeah, I think Ethereum's the second biggest after Bitcoin because Bitcoin was first. Ethereum, Litecoin, Tether is kind of an interesting one, and then you can do mining. Now, the crazy part is you were trying to ensure that the Bitcoin that you own is for real. What if I give you a blue $10 bill?
We're going to be we're questioning that. Like, did you spill in blue dye, or did you literally just print a dollar bill?
So that's like blue? Fraud, right? Mm-hmm. And so do you ever, like, even if you got a green $10 bill, did you ever like say, I'm not sure this thing is actually real? So you look at some of the codes on it. And did you ever notice there's a code on the bills?
Yes.
You have noticed? Okay. Because those codes on the bill, if you look at this one, do you see that ME and all that other stuff down there?
Yeah. Yes.
If those codes aren't right, then you would know that this was real or fake?
Fake.
Fake. So it's the same thing with the miners. They're checking all the information just like we would check a bill to make sure that it looks the right way. It has some of that red and the green, and then it has the little thing that you can see on it on the back. And so that's what all those miners are really trying to do. So we have Ethereum, Litecoin, got some other stuff going on. We digitally confirm what's happening. And at the end of all of this, you can get some form of payment of a Bitcoin in order to do that work. Isn't that pretty cool?
Yeah.
What can you buy with Bitcoin?
Almost anything in Japan.
Almost anything in Japan. Sure. Grant, why don't you name one and let Mac name another one?
So you can buy basketball tickets for the Dallas Mavericks.
Now, Mark Cuban, he went to IU, where Mom and I went, and he is he's a really good businessman, and he's really into the internet because he was one of the very first to do music over the internet. Did you know that? And he sold his company for like $1 billion or several $1 billion.
Oh, wow.
So that was a long time ago. So he's technology driven. Okay. What about you, Mac? Can you name another one?
You can get a Whopper at Burger King, my guys.
In where? Because not all Burger Kings.
In the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. You have to travel. You have to pay for your plane ticket.
You have to pay for your plane ticket in Bitcoin.
Yeah, so if you had 1 Bitcoin, you could get like a ton of Whopper.
Yeah, what do you think you could get? Maybe
like
20,000?
A life supply of Whoppers.
Yeah, a life supply, like, yeah, that's probably true. If that's not a life supply, then you may want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And a gym card.
And what do you think? What do you think, like our listeners, what do you think? Do you think any of them have Bitcoins? I would love to know.
Maybe, yeah.
If they kind of reach out to us, leave a comment, reach out, Ben at Money with Mac and G. Do that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, right? But,
yeah.
But what else could you buy? This next one's a little weird that we had. What else can you pay for?
You can pay for a funeral at St. Paul, Minnesota.
You can't take your Bitcoin with you, right?
Ew.
That's a good question. Grant, have you ever thought about if you have Bitcoin and you die, your password, you need to know your password and give it to somebody.
You have to tell your kids.
That's right.
To continue the legacy.
To continue the legacy.
For the children.
And this next one's a little weird. What about the next one, G?
Okay, so you can buy guns at Central Texas Gun Works.
Yeah, so it's like each company is just a little bit different on what they'll accept as payment.
Very different. Like first you got like almost everything in Japan. Then you got like basketball tickets. Then you got a Whopper in Netherlands, and then you got like and then you got a gun shop in Texas, and then you got like a couple of
So those people,
all over the place.
So those people think that Bitcoin is worth something, and they're willing to exchange Bitcoin for their products, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dude, that's like totally crazy. And I know that one of the things that can you buy a car with Bitcoin?
You can buy a Tesla 3.
Yeah, I think who knows? They may say the X and the Y too, but we were able to see that the Tesla 3 you can. But there are lots of things. Do you know any other ones, Mac?
You can buy a Rolex.
Rolexes. Yeah.
Rolex,
At some stores online, they offer it. Yeah. Vacuum cleaners, taxi ride, gold, some airline tickets, and all kinds of different stuff.
Las Vegas at the
and a Subway sub.
Casino.
And a Subway sub.
Cheese fries at
in Pennsylvania.
Lost Bear in Portland, Maine.
Yeah, so
cheese fries.
And now that Elon Musk, he went ahead and bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Oh wow!
And I read an article. Do you remember that article I was telling you about, Mac, on Elon and how much he made off Bitcoin versus his company?
He literally made more on Bitcoin than his own company. That is insane.
How?
That's Well, if he bought a $1.5 billion dollars,
Technically,
that's, like,
he got that money
frightening
from his company.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
then he invested it in some Bitcoin, but then he got more money off that Bitcoin. So it's basically
that's frightening to know
free
that
money.
he made more money off something that he doesn't really own than something that he runs like a huge company on.
Yeah. Well, do you care if his
I mean,
company
like-
made all that money
Yeah.
by investing in Bitcoin? Who cares, right? Yeah. Yep. So true. So the electronic wallet is where you store your Bitcoin. You can do what's called a hardware wallet, which takes it offline so nobody can even get at it. Because we've seen that some platforms, when you actually buy or sell some of your cryptocurrency, that they've actually been hacked and stolen. And there's some pretty big ones with North Korea. But was there anything else that we wanted to talk just a little bit about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and cryptography and how that all works?
Oh, besides, it requires a central authority if you want to make your own currency.
Well, if you do a currency, normally you have a central authority like the U.S. government, right?
Yeah.
And they created their own currency. Then people believed that it had value, so they started to use it. And that's why it took Bitcoin quite a while for people to start believing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, do we have any believers?
Yep.
We got a ton of believers.
And now
Yeah.
it's like
We got 21
55,000.
million out there.
Well, minus the 4 that people actually lost, right?
yeah.
So maybe 17 million, and they had to hold back some for the miners who are ensuring that all of the transactions. What about the illegal? Since it's anonymous, do you think people would do things that they normally wouldn't do because nobody's going to be able to see the money that gets changed hands?
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that 2% of all the transactions are from
Oh.
illegal. Yeah. So stuff that you may not want people to know about, you can do through cryptocurrency. So not saying
trying
that
to
we
promote
support
that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's about it. We just want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin, blockchain technology, and what it's all about. I had a kind of not a great week in the markets, but Bitcoin's kicking.
Apple went down.
Doing really
4%.
great. Yeah, Apple's down 2%, I think 4% for the year. Is
We
that right?
trusted you, Apple.
We trusted you, and then we had a tough day trading.
Okay.
So thanks, guys, for being here. We're going to see you next week, and really appreciate it. Everybody, time to say goodbye, right,
Thank
guys?
you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.